Well, was it enough, the wage that you were getting as a waiter? Was it enough to cover your cost of living?
You get whatever job you can find.
Did you struggle with the Australian accent?
In Darwin, I struggle a lot because I found Melbourne very
What about making friends with Australians as well? Could you tell us a bit more about like dating in Australia?
dating sucks. Cultural shock, yes.
Wait, is that a thing?
It's a bit weird.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. That's not something you would like to do here. It's not gonna be coming across as friendly. When I figure out that, okay, this is a bit too much for here.
How long did it take you to feel like you belonged to Australia or to feel like Australia was home?
I would say like 3 to 5 years.
How was the experience of studying at university here? Did you make friends at university? I feel that Australians tend to be pretty direct.
It definitely depends where you're coming from.
We all have accents as well. We've been here for 11 years
definitely
and
have
we still have accents.
I was very nervous. Yeah, I was very nervous with integration. I was very nervous with my level of English.
Yeah, you were basically exposed consistently. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have my very close friend, Alex, and he's going to tell us about his experience moving to Australia. So yeah, can you introduce yourself for everyone there and tell us where you're from originally and how long you've been living in Australia?
My name is Alex. Alexandros is the full name. I'm originally from Greece. I was born in Athens. I lived in Athens for 25 years before I migrated to Australia, and that was back in 2014. So now I'm cruising through my 11th year in Australia.
And what part of Australia are you living now?
Now I'm living in Melbourne, but when I first came to Australia, I went to Darwin because I had family that I wanted to visit in Darwin, and I did my first stop there, but I ended up living there for a year.
You lived in Darwin for a year.
I lived in Darwin for a year, yes. It was very interesting transition from the big city life of Athens to find myself in Darwin. Darwin is a very special place.
In what sense?
The weather, it has tropical weather, and the landscape is so different to an urban landscape. The people are very different to the ones that I was used to interact with. There's so much wildlife that it's raging there the whole time, and the weather is so difficult and hectic and humid to be there. So it was a very unique experience.
It sounds like it's very different to Melbourne.
It's very different to Melbourne, yes, absolutely. I thought that Australians go to Darwin, but then I moved to Melbourne and I realized that nobody goes to Darwin. So that's something that I realized when I came down south, as people say up in Darwin, down south. Darwin, it's such an isolated place in Australia that not even a lot of Australians have never been and will never go to Darwin.
Well, why Melbourne and not other states?
My sister and my brother, they were already in Melbourne. I had family here, which is very important. And the plan was to move to Melbourne pretty much straight away. But I found a job. I found a really good job in Darwin to work with an architect. And I got stuck there for a year.
Yeah. And then came to sunny Melbourne.
Okay, yes. Melbourne does get some sun. It's not like Northern Europe. It's very windy as well, but I think overall Melbourne has decent weather. It's not amazing, but it's the weather. It's not hostile. It's not something that will put you off. It's reasonable.
And we recommend people, because there are many people in the audience that are thinking about perhaps moving to somewhere more tropical, like Darwin. We recommend people the experience of going there? Or
I think if you're an adventurous spirit, like an adventurous person, Darwin will give you a unique experience of Australia and the true landscape of the outback of Australia. Different communities that you will never see in build-up areas like in Melbourne, how they interact with the modern world. The culture in Darwin has been increasing, and there's a lot of things going on the last 10 years. So during the dry season, which is June, July, August, I definitely think it's worth to visit. But otherwise, I would say that if you want to be on a warmer side of the climate, you can go to Queensland. That's the good thing being in Australia, that you have so many options about you want to live in an urban scape, you want to live a bit more rural. You can explore. A lot of people in Australia travel around Australia a lot, and they reestablish themselves in different settings. So that's definitely something which is offered.
Yeah, the weather patterns are so varied. It's so huge that you have a wide variety of cities to choose. And what made you move to Australia in the first place?
My mom was born in Australia, and so I always had the Australian citizenship. But I wanted to go as far away as possible from where I was when I decided that I need a change. And so when that feeling hit me, it felt like a really good idea to go to the other side of the world. So coincidentally, the fact that I had the citizenship definitely made that decision easier. Even if I didn't have the citizenship, I would attempt to go as far away as possible from Greece to sort of achieve that sensation of trying to do something completely different.
It sounds like you wanted a reset, adventures and getting out of your comfort zone and just
Getting outside of your comfort zone, traveling, meeting new places, meeting new people, because Greece is a very monocultural society. Monocultural society, like there's travelers like they travel through summer, but predominantly all my friends were Greeks. We speak Greek, we have our traditions, and so I always had that feeling inside me that I wanted to go and blend in with a global population.
Yeah. Did you move alone or with your partner or family, friends?
I moved alone, but partially my family was already in Australia. As I said before, my brother and my sister were already here. It was actually very daunting for me to move because I was in a relationship back then and I had my life back in Athens, and the community for me was very important, and I had like a lot of good friends, and that was the most scary part of the transition.
What did your friends think about the move?
They thought it was crazy. Greeks don't tend to travel a lot for a long term. They don't tend to do long-term travels. They're very family orientated. So yeah, no, they thought it was crazy. And we watched all these documentaries in National Geographic, and we thought that we're going to go to Australia and everything wants to eat you, like the snakes and everything. And it's definitely not like that.
Can you tell people that? Because I get so many questions, people asking all the time, oh, what about the spiders, the snakes in the toilet?
Yes. So before you come to Australia, you think the snakes, spiders everywhere. People still think, like I have people messaging me from Europe or Greece and say like, if you sleep, the spiders will come and like bite you while you sleep. And the reality is not at all like that. For sure, if you do farm work, all these things that will be included there. But within the cityscape, we've been for camping so many times in Australia over the last 10 years, and I only saw a snake once. I think I have like something with my body odor. It repels snakes. I think that's why. It's a bit like of a statistical anomaly that I haven't seen snakes. I only saw one snake, and living in Darwin.
I saw two. I saw two.
Yeah, already more than
Yeah,
me.
but you lived in Darwin, so
Yeah, no. I mean, in Darwin, I saw 0 snakes,
which is insane.
which is crazy. Yeah, so I would say that Australia is way safer than people think. There's a real threat. There's sharks in the ocean and all that, but I think overall it's way safer than what you think coming to Australia.
Yeah. And what were your first impressions when you landed in, well, so you already talked about Darwin. Let's talk about Melbourne. What were your first impressions of Melbourne and Australia overall?
I found Melbourne very easygoing. I found Melbourne a city which it was very easy to go around, and I think that was great because one of your initial fears is integration. How I'm gonna integrate and how I'm going to be able to go around in the city. The infrastructure is such that you don't even need to drive around, so it was really convenient going into a city and be able to go to most places with a bicycle.
Yeah, that's what I always say, like Melbourne, everything is concentrated in the CBD and then you have suburbia, but within the CBD you have trams and access to public transport, even free as well. So in that sense, it's pretty good.
I think everything it's relative, but especially coming from the chaos of Athens, Melbourne looks like it's, the heaven of infrastructure. That was amazing, that being in the other side of the planet is something that you feel cozy really fast as a citizen of a new city.
So when you were planning the move to Australia as well, were you nervous about something specific or?
I was very nervous. Yeah, I was very nervous with integration. I was very nervous with my level of English. I was very nervous of how I'm going to get a job, how I'm going to create a social group, because friendship was very important for me always. I was just thinking that everybody goes through the same struggle. So there's so many people that are relocating around the globe, and, most of them, they managed to do really well. And so that was the thought that made me feel better about it, like feel safer, that there's so many people that have done it. You're gonna go there, and the beginning it's hard, right? Like you spend a few months that your English, it's not fast enough for Australians, and that's like a big part of being able to integrate the language barrier. But time heals everything, and within a few months or a year, I think.
How did you learn English? How did you?
I learned English from hospitality. I was always working in hospitality when I came to Australia, even when I was doing other jobs. And I think that helped me a lot with understanding the culture and all the little things, the subtleties that Australians and the culture of Australia is.
Did you struggle with the Australian accent?
In Darwin, yeah. In Darwin, I struggle a lot because they have an accent, people have an accent there, but it was really good. It was the best listening practice for me, because I was trying to figure out and understand and serve folks that they had different English accents. A lot of Irish people out there, which it was impossible to understand, even like a simple beer order. But through the months that I became really good in understanding, and then pace in the conversation came a bit later, but hospitality was crucial for me to learn the language.
Yeah, you were basically exposed consistently to having to talk to people all the time.
Yeah, people speak with different accents, and there's so many people from all over the world that they speak in somehow different English. So we all speak we have different subtleties in the accent, and Australians do not speak the most accurate English either way. And so, you need to learn the ways of how Aussies speak the language.
The slang.
Yes, but the other good thing is that you create a social networking from hospitality, right? There's so many people that they come and go in hospitality, and you meet people from all walks of life. So I think hospitality is a really great integrator to learn the pace and the culture when you move to a new place.
I was going to ask you about that. It sounds like working in hospitality was your first job, your first gig.
Yes, and I think at least back then it was the easiest job you could get. You could literally get a job the next day where you land in Australia in hospitality.
Were you working as a waiter?
I was working as a waiter. I was working a little bit on the bar, and but it helps a lot with feeling comfortable faster about how you need to act and how you need to speak in this new environment, to be, to respect the ways of that new place that you are trying to establish.
Was it enough, the wage that you were getting as a waiter? Was it enough to cover your cost of living? Because that's something that many people worry about, cost of living in Australia. Is it expensive? Inflation?
It's a complicated question. I don't think that Australia is cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it's easier to find a job that pays you decently, and therefore Australia is very affordable. Our minimum salary in Australia is such where you're not going to starve. Even if you work as a waiter in a climbing gym, the minimum salary is definitely enough to have a better quality of life than you will have in most cases in Southern Europe, for example. And then from then, it has levels, affordability, and how you build your disposable income.
Were you living in a shared house?
I was always living in a shared house, so that's a compromise that you do, especially when you're a student or you do these lower level paid jobs that, okay, you will share a house. Housing is expensive. Rent is expensive, and then it has to do with priorities. Do you want to save money to go traveling, or you want the comfort of being by yourself? That's definitely one of the compromises. I don't know, you need to be lucky to get people, especially in the beginning, where you really go along and the chemistry is right, and you can hold the household in a peaceful manner without having a lot of friction with your housemates.
And in terms of working here in Australia, what are you doing now? So you studied in hospitality?
Yeah, I spent many years in hospitality, and then I was doing a lot of jobs that I have to do with events. Especially through COVID, it was really hard. Everything was closed for 2 years. And so that was literally, you get whatever job you can find. And they were all oriented around hospitality, a little bit of Netflix. jobs that have to do with series like background extras.
So you were working as an extra.
I was working as an extra. You were doing like the background action stuff, maybe like some advertisements for food that they were doing. So there was a bit of things going on, but you had to be flexible. So COVID tested a lot our flexibility and resilience, and you know how you be resourceful. You have like a few things to work with, and you try to make the most out of it.
Okay. And now what are you doing?
I work for the government. I have a really good job, so I work IT for the government. It was really hard to get the job, but
In a professional field?
yeah, like because I've studied something completely different. I started like interior architecture, and then I did a master's under architecture, and unfortunately I couldn't find a job in the field. But then that's another thing that happened through COVID. We created some opportunities that maybe they wouldn't exist if we were not locked down as a state for 2 years. And so a bit of luck and a lot of will to do different things than the ones that I aspired to do or what was my dream job. I ended up doing something which I really enjoy now, and I would never imagine that I'm going to enjoy. You know, less planning takes you in ways that it gives you more opportunities. If you over plan things and you're very fixated to do something, I think you're losing a lot of open doors on the way.
And how did you get this job?
I got this job through a friend of mine that he used to work in a logistical capacity for a department of the government. And then we started there slowly as contractors. One thing brought the other. Through the years, we've managed to secure a permanent job. And as soon as you're in the system, then things move way faster. It's so much easier to go for a short-term stint in a different department, or it's much easier to get a better position as soon as you're in the system.
So basically networking.
Definitely networking. I think networking is the most important thing. I think networking is more important than your education, because networking builds that trust that the recruiter wants from, you know, whoever's applying for a job. Like as soon as they trust you and they know you and you have been recommended by someone, that definitely puts you in a better position to get this job.
What tips do you have for people moving to Australia, or for those who are already here? What tips do you have for them in terms of finding jobs, having the
be open. Don't be fixated to do your dream job, because your dream job could be something that you've never even thought about. Be very flexible. Get whichever opportunity you can initially, because you need to have food in the door, and you need to build some sort of background and experience in working here for people to further trust you and give you opportunities for more interviews. Yes, and then, you know, setbacks. You're always going to have a setback. Integration is not easy. Moving to the other side of the planet, far away from your family and your friends, is not easy. But find a community of people that you can relate with. Social dancing, climbing, language exchange, it doesn't matter where it is. There's so many people that they have really educational stories to share with you about their struggles, that you feel very warm and cozy and related to these stories.
Speaking of building a support network and a community, how did you make friends in Australia? What was the process like?
I made friends initially through like in hospitality, right? So you work hospitality, you meet a lot of friends there, whether they will be like patrons of that place you work, or your workmates. I started doing martial arts in Australia. I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that gave me another community. Then finally, a few years later, we started climbing, and climbing is such a social sport, and there's so many people from all sorts of walks of life that they climb, and there's so much opportunity to meet people, and awesome people. Like my best friends that I've met there from climbing. I'm not saying to people go for climbing, because people go crazy. I don't want to climb. I don't want to. It's okay if go somewhere that there is a community of people, that the way to blend in with other people.
Yeah, I feel that here in Australia, people meet specifically doing activities, hands-on activities, as opposed to just if you meet at a party, that's fine, but it's very unlikely that you're going to have that you're going to form that friendship in that place. It has to be consistent. Spending time together and doing something, a shared activity, it's very likely that you're going to be like-minded people in that sense, and that facilitates friendships.
Absolutely.
So that's good. And what about making friends with Australians as well?
I don't think I have any Australian friends. No. I think it's when I first came to Australia, what we do, there's a general gesture when you meet someone. In Greece specifically, it's all around Europe, where you meet someone, you hug and you give 2 kisses, one in each cheek.
Yeah.
That's not something you would like to do here. It's not gonna be coming across as friendly. So I think that set the tone of, you know, integrating to the Australian culture and the society. When I figure out that, okay, this is a bit too much for here. I think Australians, they're easygoing. I think they're very cool, and I like the no worries culture. So I think it's really easy to make friends in Australia. And there's so many different people here from all over the world where they have like very similar like sort of like thinking, and the background is very similar. So that's so amazing that you come here and you meet people from South America that are so similar to you. And there's so many people out there that they're waiting to meet people. So if you're relatively social, you shouldn't have a problem meeting people in Australia.
But you do need to get out of your comfort zone here. I always say in the channel that it's not like when you were in school and you were a kid that you just say, oh, hi, do you want to be my friend? You do need to be proactive and say yes to invitations and just, yeah, try to get out there.
Yes, and I think a lot of people find daunting the lack of their English fluency.
That's another
But the reality is that everybody's been there. Most of us that we came from a different background, our English is not a native language. We all struggle. We went to this party that the music was too loud. We didn't understand anything that this person says. We pretend that we understand everything this person says. And you go through these stages, but everybody goes through that stage. And
we all have accents as well. We've been here for 11 years
we definitely
and
have
we still
accents.
have accents, and that's fine as well.
We all have accents, and that's why the most common question when you meet is like, oh, where you from? Because people are from different places, and that's wonderful.
Yeah. And in terms of, so when you came here, did you have any culture shocks, or what was it? Yeah.
Cultural shock, yes. People eat way too early.
For Greek standards.
I mean, for Greek standards, we still have not managed to figure out the dining schedule of Australians. I think that's probably my biggest complaint.
Okay.
It's 9 p.m. and we can't find something decent to eat. I deeply aspire that the ethnic community of Melbourne is going to change that slowly. We have some chances to persuade the market here to just like drag dinner at least at 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
Yeah. I think I found it a bit like, a bit inconvenient how they eat dinner at 6:30.
As well, yeah. We always say that I'm from Argentina and their like peak hour is 10 p.m. So you go to a restaurant and 10 p.m. it's full of people, right?
Yes.
And when you go back home, your friends want to meet, oh, let's have dinner at 9 p.m. Like, no, but you already go. I don't know. Did you get used to the Australian time?
I haven't got used to it. I'm not doing it.
So you're still eating at 9 p.m.?
I'm still eating at 9 p.m. Yeah, I've pushed myself to eat like around 8:30, but I don't think we're going earlier than that. And I think it has to do with your lifestyle. Like we're in a climbing gym till 8:30 or 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, so we wouldn't have dinner before that. Or so after 11 years, the thing that I cannot get used to is going and have dinner at 6 p.m. I just can't do it. You know, it's antithetical to sort of like my body clock. It's not suitable.
Good for your digestion though, having it early.
It's good for digestion, yeah. I think like I'm gonna consider that on my 50s, maybe like when I have digestion.
Okay, when you're 50, you can start eating earlier.
A lot of people wake up early in Australia, which I respect that. You wanna go for a marathon at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, it's really good.
You don't wake up early?
If I have to, yes, but I don't normally wake up that early.
What time do you wake up?
I wake up like around 7:30.
That's early.
It's not 5 o'clock in the morning, let's run a marathon at 6:30.
Early. I thought you were going to say like 9 a.m., 10 a.m.
I think the work schedule here, it's pretty liberal. Like that's the good thing about
That they're
Australia.
flexible.
Very easygoing.
You mean Australian workplaces?
Yeah, I think like Australian workplaces generally, depending what job you do, but they are very, especially now with flexible work arrangements and everything. It's like one of the good things about Melbourne is, although it's a capital city, like the population of the city, especially these days, is around 6 million. The pace is very easygoing, and that's really good for your mental health. It's very sustainable for people that live in Melbourne not to go on a hectic mode all the time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the hustle culture is not big here.
But there is infrastructure. It's very sport orientated, and that's something that I appreciate a lot. Like there's tennis courts everywhere, swimming pools.
Each suburb has its own swimming pool.
A lot. Yeah, like the councils have like their own swimming pool, which this is amazing. Especially it depends where you come from, but Athens maybe has like one swimming pool for for the whole city. We love concrete in Athens. Concrete is our favorite thing. It's something you appreciate, and it improves your quality of life a lot. You have so much infrastructure that allows you to do your own thing when it comes to, what sort of hobbies you want to have, how accessibility is the important thing here. They're very accessible.
Now let's talk about settling in Australia. The challenges. What would you say was the hardest part of settling in?
I think the hardest part was to forget the way that you go your day-by-day life before and adjust to a new way of living. Australia is definitely very different to Greece, and the faster you understand that, the faster you're gonna feel content mentally. A lot of people that come here, they're not sure, and it's fair enough. You don't know if this is a good choice they've made, but they stay way too long with one foot on the place that they came from, and so their minds is in two different places. I think that's the hardest thing, to persuade yourself and get into a mental state where you say that, this is my new home and I need to make the most out of it.
Yeah, I feel that many people can't stop comparing Australia to their home country.
Yes.
And perhaps that makes the transition a bit harder, because at some point, what I always say is that there is a settlement curve as well. And at the beginning, it's everything, you're like a tourist, but then perhaps you have a culture shock or something bad happens. And that's when you start idealizing your home country and kind of getting very frustrated with Australia or whatever country you're moving. Has that happened to you at some point, feeling that you wanted to give up?
No, that's actually very correct what you say. It's like the settlement curve, as you said. Met a lot of people that they've experienced that, and they try to externalize the thoughts and their frustration about their challenges in integrating. I think most of the times that happens because people try to match what they had there to what they're gonna find here. And maybe in a small portion that will happen, but for the bigger picture, that's not gonna happen. And that's part of you integrating and deciding to go the other side of the planet, is you will adapt and you will change and you will learn so many things for yourself through this process. And the more you expecting when you wake up that I'm gonna do whatever I used to do there, and why I can't eat 10 p.m. All the small things that your culture used to feel like there, it will be different to here.
I feel like, yeah, that's exactly what you said, expecting. It's managing expectations.
Yeah.
If you set your expectations too high and you have like a rainbow kind of image of what your life in Australia will look like, then nothing is going to match those expectations, because usually they are.
Yeah, and you will compromise, right? Like you don't come. Australia is not perfect, and you have to make it as good as it gets for yourself, and you will adapt to the place. The place is not going to adapt to you. And that's why we put so much effort to create a social group that has similar like mindset to us, to, make living here way happier and prettier, because, you can control the people you have around you. I can't control the place and the ways and the culture of Australia.
Yeah, that's a good point. So going back to the question, was there any time that you felt like you wanted to give up or go back?
I have thought about going back to Europe, but every year here it's better than the previous one. I think very challenging in Australia is to create a social group that it's constant, because a lot of people come and go, especially people that come here without the citizenship or they cannot get the permanent residency. They can't even stay because that's how the visa laws are. So it's complicated to be here and have a group of friends which they are not going to move, or have a girlfriend that is not going to go back to the country where she came from because of visa constraints. So that's definitely challenging, and it needs patience. It's not something easy. You need a lot of time to create that social group, and it's the most rewarding thing when it happens, but you feel really lonely.
Yeah.
There's definitely times you feel lonely. Yeah.
And that's something interesting as well, because I feel that as I get older, I realize more and more that your support network and your social group, as you're saying, are the most important things. So it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a solid group of friends and a good quality of life, which Australia provides, then that's...
I think, look, we're all far away from our families, and there will be bad days and there will be problems that are out of control. So it's really good to have relationships with people that they can support you, because that's very important, right? Like, and detrimental for your mental health and to operate as a human. Like, the bad days will come. Probably the most important thing, to feel cozy, to feel like, not to have like remorse or to have second thoughts of
You
what am I
belong
doing here? Yeah, it's the belonging, the sense of belonging. Thank you, that's what I'm looking for. The sense of belonging is detrimental to your social group, absolutely.
And how long did it take you to feel like you belonged to Australia, or to feel like Australia was home?
I would say like 3 to 5 years, if I want to be realistic. I think the first year was a bit challenging for me with the language, and be able to, because you can't really have proper interaction with the community if, you know, you're lagging back on language. After the first year of becoming definitely more fluent, I would say that it took me 4 to 5 years to have a group of friends in Melbourne, where they were consistently in Melbourne, and we could, you know, do life together.
It's good as well that you have family here. That helps.
Yes, very helpful. This is a different cushion, and having family here, I feel very lucky, because you're very lonely in the beginning, especially if you don't move with a partner, then you're very lonely.
And do you have any tips as well, based on your experience and whatever coping mechanisms you've developed throughout the first years in Australia? Do you have any tips for people on how to navigate those challenges and those ups and downs? Something that served you well and that perhaps you could share?
I changed my life a lot when I came to Australia. I started doing way more sports than I used to. Like, I started doing martial arts. I didn't even know what martial arts were before I moved to Australia. Like, it improved my life for sure, but also it gave me another opportunity to meet a lot of people from different backgrounds. Just get outside of your comfort zone. Don't sit within your ethnic group like, I'm Greek, I'm gonna hang around with Greeks. I think the most wonderful thing is to try to get out there and meet all these people. Like, you know, we have a wonderful multiculturalism in Melbourne, and there's so many people that have amazing things to offer. You just feel comfortable to be uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I just wanted to ask you something else about because you said that you studied at university as well. You did your master's here in Australia.
Correct, I do masters in Melbourne.
How was the experience of studying at university here?
It's less of a community-orientated study, especially when we talk about architecture, than the one that I experienced back in Athens. Is a bit more maybe business model-orientated, the studies here. For the most part of it, before COVID happened and everything changed, it was a great experience. Yeah, I think there's not that strong community vibe in the universities as you would see in Europe, and I think that reflects a lot the socialness of the people in general in Australia.
Did you make friends at university here?
I was unlucky with that. Maybe like my accent is a bit hostile and people, they don't want to, they feel weird. When I did the postgraduate degree, a lot of my co-students were older. They had families, or they already had businesses, and so they were in a different level of a life back then. I still have some connection with them, but I was unlucky. I didn't make friends from university. It's not cheap though. Studying is not cheap. Like,
Studying here, yeah.
citizens, like, we paid a lot of money.
Yeah, imagine international students, it's pretty expensive. So speaking of community and social interactions as well, could you tell us a bit more about like dating in Australia? And yeah.
Dating sucks. I think dating is very challenging, because it's coming back to what I said before about people moving a lot. So you could meet someone wonderful, but then because of visa constraints or other personal issues, then they're gonna stay in Melbourne or in that specific location in Australia for a long time. The good thing is that we have friends all around the globe, but the negative thing is that it's really hard to create that core of friendship or maintain a relationship. Yeah, I don't know. I think relationships are difficult everywhere, so, you know, I don't wanna make it specific to here. I'm not saying that there's definitely challenges, but I think everybody Everybody's facing challenges these days.
Something that caught my attention, and I have a video about dating in Australia, is that here people meet mainly on the apps.
Yes.
Was that your experience?
I think people use the apps here a lot because, especially what's happening in Melbourne, is like people, they don't go out on a specific suburb. There's a lot of suburbs that they have their own shops and their own bars and their own pubs. So people are very spread out.
That's a good point.
So it's really, in this sense, it makes sense because you meet people from dating apps that you will never actually meet them in real life. You will never hang around the same places. It's a location thing. And also, I think now people are so conditioned into putting effort into meeting people from dating apps that they have adjusted the lifestyle in a way that they're not gonna go out for flirting that much.
Yeah, there is a culture as well.
Absolutely, yeah, there's a culture.
There is a bit of taboo now, especially younger generations,
Yeah.
getting approached by someone.
Yeah, we need to do an interview specifically about dating in Australia, or dating, you know, through your 30s after, like, you know, the emergence of dating apps.
Dating apps, yeah. The last question about dating, did you face any language or cultural barriers when dating here in Australia, considering that you're open to a pool of people from all over the world as well?
For sure, I think as long as you don't date Aussies. The challenges are also something which is wonderful because you're discovering how people live and how, you know, people from different cultures have so many things to offer and so many things to learn. It's part of the journey to meet someone. I think it's even more genuine, the feeling of, you know, try to attract someone and try to make someone interested, that you don't even speak the same language, that you have so many things to say. So I think it's a wonderful thing to date people from different backgrounds and different languages. There will be some challenges from language or culture for sure.
Do you have any
Any
stories?
Well, I have stories about like dating and not being able to communicate properly because of the lack of language. But I have actually a beautiful story from my housemate. He met his partner, Colombian partner, my housemate Greek. They met through a dating app. She didn't even know how to speak English, but they liked each other so much that they stayed enough together to bridge the gap, to make it work and bridge this gap. And now they moved to Sydney and they have a kid together. And, you know, sometimes things work in an awesome way. Yeah.
Okay, now let's go back to socials and the Australian community in general. Do you feel that you had to adapt your personality to fit in?
Oh yeah, definitely. You have to adapt your personality to fit in. I think Australians are fairly easygoing, but some Europeans are more direct when it comes to expressing their feelings, or the way warmer when they initially meet someone. That's something that it's deeply embedded in our culture, and it represents and reflects a lot of the ways that we grew up there. Which here it's different. I think here, and there's many reasons because of that, that's not a bad thing. They have a thicker layer of ice that you have to go through. And you just have to adjust the way that maybe things will be slower. But, you know, eventually I think Australians they have really good values when it comes to like socializing and friendship, and they love the outdoors. So there's a lot of things to get to be connected with. But it's a different culture. You definitely have to adjust.
And what's one Aussie habit or saying that you've picked up?
Esky on the barbie. I can never say the pronunciation, it's always off, but thongs, you know, thongs is not an underwear, it's a footwear. And they love prawns for breakfast, which is not my thing, but you know, we have to adjust to that. Like especially through hospitality, serving prawns 7 o'clock in the morning
Wait, is that a thing?
it's a bit weird. They love prawns, yeah. They eat prawns for breakfast.
Is that a thing?
I never heard it.
Yeah. That's a thing, yeah. They love prawns for breakfast, yeah.
Is that Australians?
I know, is it like Australian or British?
I'm learning something new.
Other Australian things. I think I truly admire the passion for camping.
The passion for
being
camping.
outdoors and just, you know, massive setups that when they go for camping, they don't around. They're like
Before we drive.
fully equipped. Yes, we love camping and we love outdoors, so that's a great thing. Avo, have an Avo in the Avo.
For those who don't know, avo is avocado, and then
Yeah.
avo,
Avo, it's evening.
yeah, afternoon.
Have an avo in the avo. You're having some avocado in the evening.
And what about habits? Any Australian clearly eating an early dinner? That's
Habits. I think I'm way more polite.
you're more boy.
I think I'm way more polite than I used to. Or not polite. I'm more careful of yes, of the vocabulary that I'm using.
In what sense?
I'm more conscious of the vocabulary I'm using. But within which, because there was a lot of aggression in Athens, like there's a lot of road rage, there's a lot of like people are very angry. And so I like that here people are a bit more subtle and they have more sensitivity.
You think so, though?
To
I think it depends, though,
where are you coming from?
because there are some Australians that are very, very direct. This is a controversial topic about the directness of Australians. I feel that Australians tend to be pretty direct.
It definitely depends where you're coming from. What is a habit that I got from Aussies? Are we talking about bad habits?
Okay, do you have a bad habit?
Do I have a bad habit walking around barefoot?
Do you actually work?
No, I try not to. I try not to. That's something that was surprising, how much they go around barefoot in supermarkets, in sidewalks and everything. Yes, yeah. I've seen like people in supermarkets with lizards.
With lizards?
A lizard on the shoulder? Yeah. Maybe, it depends the suburb, but I've seen that for sure.
The singlets?
Yeah, the singlet is, that's something which is a bit shocking to me. Like, it was a cultural shock to see how much in Australia they value singlets. I do not own a singlet.
It's not a European.
And it's
The secret?
just, I don't know. It's a very unique expression of style that, I'm not into it yet. I do not own a single singlet.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about pros and cons of living in Australia. What's the thing that you love the most about living here?
The thing that I love the most is how the life quality, it's so easy to travel to Southeast Asia and, going around Australia. I love the fact that they have that, camping and van culture and they love nature. How easy is commuting for me? Specifically, I don't need my car. So other pros, I think we have a very flexible work culture.
Yeah.
We have a lot of public holidays here. For every sporting event, we have created a public holiday, so it's really good. It's a lifestyle that sort of like facilitates you. You can travel a lot and you meet people, and it's a very outgoing way of living.
And what do you still struggle with or what you find frustrating?
I think it's far, like we can't change that. So, you're far away from your family and you're far away from the people that you grew up with, and that's difficult sometimes. You definitely go through stages where you feel lonely and, you can't control that. Like, that's always going to be the case. Everything else, you need to adapt. But I think the distance for me, it's the worst thing. Like, my sister is in Europe and, I haven't seen my sister for 3 years and that really affects you. So if I could change something, I would change that. But I think otherwise, every year for me, it has been better.
That's good. Is there anything specific you miss from Greece and that you can't find here?
The easiness of being in the water in Greece, how you don't have to think of anything when you swim in the water in Greece.
Like sharks, jellyfish.
Yeah, and that's something that I miss. That's when we go to Greece straight away, you want to go to the beach and you want to go swim in the sea because you know that it's a much more friendly sea than here. And I've missed a little bit how people socialize outdoors, that they gather around squares and people play music and they share, their ideas and their stories in a more collective manner.
Interesting. Yeah, overall, in what ways do you think the experience of moving to Australia has changed you as a person?
After 10 years, you're a different person. After 10 years, you have become you've met so many people that they have expressed their resilience and how they adapted, and you travel so much and you see the struggles or how people live their lives. And so I think I've gained so much perspective, and my capacity as Alex to do things that I never knew that I'm gonna put myself in a position to even attempt to do. So, you become so resilient, and it's like you're opening up to the world.
If you could go back in time, what kind of advice would you give to yourself?
Be way more open with what sort of jobs I'm looking for, instead of like having like a tunnel vision of, I want to be an architect or something very specific. I think that would have helped me a lot in the first years. Managing the relationship with all the people that you leave behind a bit better, like how you communicate through the years. I think I can always, if I was reliving my life, I could have definitely found better ways to manage the distance, because you're young and you're maturing the way you go, and probably a lifetime is not enough to learn how to manage all the human interactions. So I would change that.
Can you give us one word to describe your whole experience in Australia?
Oh, life-changing.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to your couch, Martina.
And just before we wrap up, he has a black eye.
Yes, this side.
Why?
And that's why I was keeping my head on this side, because one of the pros in Australia was that I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I dearly love, and we can have a separate interview about that. But sometimes you get clumsy partners, or they get overexcited, and that's what happens.
Yeah, it's nothing else.
It wasn't Martina.